Hi, this is George Alger, and welcome to this segment of Our Ventura TV. Today we're going to be talking about music and art for youth. And we have with us today as some guests the director of this program, St. Pierre, and one of his students. Welcome, St. Pierre.
Thank you for having us, George.
St. Pierre, could you introduce Adam?
Absolutely. Adam Sortomme is one of our scholarship students. Been with us over 3.5 years.
That's great. Now, let's talk a little bit about music and art for youth. So
Sure.
could you give us a quick statement?
Absolutely. Our mission is needy kids 9 to 19 years old, and we provide an accelerated education for these needy kids that have a financial need, and they are nominated by a relative, a friend, or even a public school teacher for this program.
That's great.
Thank you.
Adam, how did you even find out about this?
Actually, I found out about music and art for youth through my Aunt Lois. I was in a bike accident a long time ago, and I needed a new bicycle, and she went online looking for a new bike for me, and actually stumbled across music and art for youth. And from there, we submitted a form, and I came over and did an audition for them, and got the scholarship.
Great, so you had been performing for some, or at least playing music for some time earlier.
Actually, I started in around 2011. It was actually started music after the event of my father passing away, and that he was a musician back in his day, so that kind of led me, to pick up an interest. After he taught me a few chords, just not too long before he passed, and I started just picking up the guitar and found my passion.
That's great. St. Pierre, how was it that you determined which applications to actually present or give a scholarship to?
Yes. Each nomination is taken independently, and we review with the board of directors because we are a nonprofit 501c3. We have a board of directors that interviews, is involved with, in Adam's case, the audition, but also the portfolio, a recording, the singing, songwriting that maybe they have done in the past. It's not only for performance and music kids, but also for visual artists like painters and so forth, so on. Adam happened to be in the right place at the right time for a music performance scholarship.
That's great. So speak about some of the benefits that you've been receiving in this time.
Well, through music and art for youth, I've learned about communication on stage with the audience. I've learned a lot of performing skills. I even had some teachers who taught me first in vocals. I had never, taken vocal lessons or even sang in my past. So really coming into music and art for youth, that was my first time singing. So I received vocal lessons, which did help me progress very, very well into singing and vocals. And then I received guitar lessons as well, and I had never received those. I had just been playing, off of ear, without knowledge of the guitar. And so a lot of the benefits that I've learned in music have come through music and art for youth now.
Good.
Now that I look back on it.
Yay! Now, where do some of the tutors come from that are supporting him?
There are private instructors that we call also not only instructors but mentors that bring the students into an education that is not like general music lessons and these kinds of things. It's very, very detail oriented toward giving the student what each student needs.
Good. Now, do the students ever interact with each other in terms of like maybe group performances, or it is so individual that it's just one-on-one?
Yeah, there are times when we will put them in a concert art show together, or sometimes we have like little breakfasts. In case of Adam and Antonio were put together. And that's basically, each one is individual trained to be a professional.
Good. Now, you bring your own interest in music to the table, and I believe the mentors are just simply nurturing that. Would that be the case?
Yes.
Okay, so where do you find your musical inspirations?
I guess a lot of it comes from what I was taught growing up, and what I listened to a lot growing up was the Beatles. I listened to a lot of the Beatles, and my parents were musicians back in their day, and they were very good actually too. So I do listen to a lot of their music as well, and I analyze it and I study it, and but I do write my own music, based off my own judgment. I don't like to follow anybody else's rhythms or rhymes. But I guess my influences would be a lot of the 60s and 70s soft rock and pop.
It's fascinating to me because although we probably look like we're the exact same age, we're not. And I'm familiar with the Beatles when they were popular, right? So for me, it's fascinating hearing someone much younger to have an interest in that era. I mean, I think that's great, but since that's very different from many people of your age, do you have any comments on that?
I guess it's and I never really noticed this. It's deviant behavior.
Okay.
Is what I would call it, and it's not really. I don't really try. I just with the way that the people are these days, they're losing the old values of the old world values, and I like to keep those alive.
Wow, my gosh! Now is this what the mentors are telling? Or this is really you're speaking?
This is coming from me.
Wow, that's very fascinating. Okay, cool. So the music that you have been performing, it's influenced by the 60s, as you mentioned.
Yes.
Are you playing music from the 60s, or you're writing your own music?
I'm writing my own music. I guess you could call it music of the current times, because I do write it in the current times. But it is my own music.
Okay. Well, good. So we're going to hear some of your music. And before we go to that, St. Pierre is wondering if you could offer some additional information to people who might want to nominate other artists.
Sure. musicandartforyouth.org. That's a website, and it's real easy. We've made it very, very simple without having a bunch of forms to fill out. If they go to that website, it's right there, and basic information is all that we need to nominate any kid that is extraordinary for the future.
Great. Okay, so now we're going to hear from you, Adam.
All right.
And what's the name of this song?
The Evergreens.
The Evergreens?
Yes.
Okay, and you wrote this recently, or?
I wrote this about 2 years ago.
Okay, great. All right, so now we're going to hear it.
All right. Shadows from the sun begin to fade. It does not hurt me, only makes me pray in hopes to come to my senses someday. I don't know, I can't see, I can feel this in my dreams. These evergreens, yeah. Can't you see through your evergreens the times in which you change from day to day? Don't you feel your own energy as it courses through your spirit and your veins? Don't you know, won't you see the ever-growing constancies, these ever-changing evergreens?
Okay, Adam, that was great. All right, so tell us a little bit about how that song came to be.
Actually, I wrote that on 9/11, and I was just making up words, and I was just having a little fun. I wrote some chords, and I made up some chords, and I think I mentioned the word evergreen in one of the words that I was just making up. And so I went and I looked up that word, and I found out that there's actually a philosophical definition for it. And the philosophical definition, or metaphorical definition as well, is ever-changing, constantly changing, or staying the same. And so I wanted to use that definition for the song. And so the song's really focused towards individuals' thoughts and how to focus and control those thoughts, because everybody's mind's moving so much, left and right, up and down. And it can be a very bother, and the song focuses on keeping our thoughts controlled, and where we can be at peace with ourselves.
Beautiful. What do you see for your future?
To tell you the truth, I have no idea yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
All right, well done. That was a great song.
Thank you.
So we're just about out of time here, but before we close, St. Pierre, I'm wondering if you could give us a summating message for our viewers and provide us that website address one more time.
Sure. Well, Music and Art for Youth is a nonprofit that's close to home. Adam is coming out of the student scholarship and will be introduced into the artist development program, which is for the professional career that he may have up ahead. And so, again, anyone can nominate somebody for this program on the website, www.musicandartforyouth.org, and it's AND, and for youth.org.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining us. This is George ALGER signing off for this segment of Our Ventura TV. Until we meet again.